For as long as I can remember, I have always been different. I don't know how to describe it exactly, but there is something about me that never fit in with others. While everyone else was busy celebrating, laughing and enjoying life, I was apart. I always felt like an outsider in a place I never quite understood. There was something about those big festivities that disturbed me deeply, as if they were full of unnecessary noise, of laughter that only irritated me. And worst of all was Christmas. When I saw the townspeople preparing for that time of year, I didn't understand why they had to be so noisy, so joyful. The twinkle in their eyes, the excitement on their faces, all of it only served to make me feel more isolated. The lights flashing everywhere, the carols sung in chorus, the incessant bustle, it was as if they were shouting at me how much I didn't fit in, how much I didn't belong. I didn't care about Christmas, I didn't care what they were celebrating or why they were celebrating it. To me, it was just an interruption in the stillness I so longed for. I lived on the top of a mountain, away from everyone. My home, although solitary, gave me a peace that I never found in the streets of the village. The wind blowing across the summit, the shadows at nightfall, were my refuge. And there I was, watching from afar as everyone prepared for what for them was the highlight of the year. Inside, I wondered, what need did they have for so much celebration? What made them so happy? Because to me, seeing them so united, so joyful, made me deeply uncomfortable. Why couldn't they understand that Christmas was not for everyone? It wasn't that it was always like that, of course. There was a time when, somehow, I tried to be part of them. I tried to integrate, to understand what it was that made them so happy. But something inside me never accepted their festivities. That overflowing excitement, those rituals that seemed designed only to create more and more noise, made me feel that it was a farce, a big lie. No one seemed to be able to see what was hidden behind all that facade of joy. And when I couldn't find a place for myself in the midst of it all, I began to drift further and further away. Christmas became for me a constant reminder of my own disconnection. Every time I saw the children running through the streets, every time I heard the bells announcing the beginning of the festivities, something in me shut down. It seemed so unnecessary, so empty. They didn't know what Christmas really meant, they didn't understand that beyond the presents and the parties, there was something deeper that even they didn't get to see. Sometimes, I wondered if I could ever feel what they felt, if I could ever share that same happiness. But, in the end, it was clear, I could not. Every year, the same story. The same hustle and bustle. The same hype. The same happy people, ignorant of what Christmas really meant. And in that sea of lights and laughter, I was still the same, a lonely being who just wanted to escape the noise. At first I tried to ignore them, to go on with my life without paying attention, but as time went by, something began to change inside me. That discomfort was transforming into something darker, something deeper. I didn't just resent Christmas anymore, I began to hate it. The hatred was growing, fed by the constant invasion of that festive bustle. Every time I saw them so happy, so oblivious to my suffering, I felt something inside me break. And it was then that an idea occurred to me, an idea so simple and so perfect that it made me feel a strange satisfaction. Why not just stop Christmas? Why not take away everything they loved so much, everything that gave them meaning? If I couldn't join them, I could at least make their joy disappear. It would not be an act of evil, but of justice. I would take away that feast they loved so much, so they could see what really mattered. So I began to plan it. Every detail. Every step. It wasn't going to be just a prank. No. It would be an intervention, a lesson. I knew Christmas had the power to transform them, but I wanted to show them that they could live without it, that their joy didn't depend on all those lights and presents. My plan was clear: steal Christmas, rob them of everything that made it special, and give them back a sense of what really mattered. The sound of the bells meant nothing, the gifts were worth nothing. It was only what one carried in one's heart that truly mattered. And if they couldn't see it, I would make them see it. But what I didn't know at the time was that Christmas wasn't just what I had seen. It wasn't just the festivity, the decorations, or the singing. It was something much deeper, something that could not be stolen, could not be destroyed. Because Christmas, in the end, was not in the lights or the presents, but in the hearts of the people. And that was what I discovered in my attempt to take away their joy. In the end, it was I who learned the real lesson of Christmas. And though I was never one for big emotions or loud celebrations, I discovered that even someone like me could find something in that time of year. Because Christmas, though I had always rejected it, was always there, patiently waiting for me to understand it. In the end, what I realized is that it wasn't Christmas I hated, but what I thought it was. I thought it was just noise, lights and material things, an empty holiday that had no meaning. But Christmas, in reality, is not in the decorations or the carols. It's in something much simpler and deeper. It's in those little moments of love, in the sincere desire to be together, to share and to give without expecting anything in return. And that's what I learned in the end. What surprised me most was the realization that my heart, the one that had been closed for so long, could also grow, could also change. Because no matter how remote you think you are, no matter how cold you feel inside, there is always a spark of something more, something that can transform even the most disconnected being. So, yes, I could steal the presents, the lights and everything else that symbolized Christmas, but what I could never take away was what truly made it special. What I discovered that night was that it's not about what's around you, it's about what's inside yourself. I may never be the most festive or the most joyful, but I now know that, deep down, we all share the same desire, to be understood, to be loved, and to have a place to belong. And that's what Christmas, in the end, taught me. A heart can grow, it can change, no matter how small it felt before. Because in reality, what made me change wasn't the presents or the lights, but something much simpler: love, that one we all carry inside, waiting to come out. And maybe, just maybe, what I needed was to learn to let it flow.